bet you're wondering why these videos have been shown. Let me explain. My name is Shaun Kirman. I'm 22 years old. I've just finished a television and film degree course at university, and on the course I created this documentary called My Life with MND. What's the story about? Well, this is about my dad, Stuart Kirman. He was born on December the 16th, 1962. In his early years, he joined the Royal Air Force as a caterer. After leaving, he became a security guard. Unfortunately, in April 2014, he was forced to retire of being diagnosed with MND. But what is MND?
Motor neurone disease is a disease of the brain and spinal cord. Where basically for some unknown reason the motor neurons die back and the muscles stop working.
Start in either a leg or an arm, or in some cases the speech and swallow muscles, and gets worse over time.
Presented first off, it often spreads to the rest of the body, and some people have what we call predominantly upper motor neurone disease or lower motor neurone disease, and this affects them in different ways. So the upper motor neurons are the neurons between the brain and spinal cord, and if these are affected, this tends to give you spasticity. Whereas if the lower motor neurons are more affected, that's the connections between the spinal cord and the muscles, you're more likely to get weakness.
Physical exercise has been linked to motor neurone disease, and we're trying to define that. There's a paper about to be published any day from this centre, which suggests not only that physical exercise might be associated with risk of motor neurone disease, but actually there might be a dose effect.
When you are exercising more, you have more of what we call oxidative stress, so that's more for the body to deal with, in effect. So there's possibly a tipping point. So physical activity, as we know, is normally good for us. Normally it prevents most diseases, but there could be kind of a tipping point where if you do too much, your body can't deal with it, and the long-term effect of that could have an impact on your health.
Who have a genetic susceptibility, when they do exercise, it tires out their motor neurons, which then leads them to get the disease. That's the hypothesis we're working on. And what I'm trying to do is identify those people who that's true in, so we can then say to them, look, given your genetic background, maybe you should not do so much exercise, rather than just say to everybody, do less exercise, because obviously there's other risks of not doing exercise.
This isn't a direct link. We don't tell people to not do exercise because it's only a small factor in probably what is a lot of factors that contributes to getting MND.
A common comparison is that the number of people affected by multiple sclerosis or MS is very similar to the number of people with motor neurone disease. But the reason that people have heard of MS is because people have it for longer. So any one time there's more people living with MS, because they will live 15, 20 years with the disease potentially, whereas with motor neurone disease patients, although there's just as many people diagnosed each year, they don't live as long, so there's not as many of them at any one time.
So getting motor neurone disease, men are a bit more likely to get it than women, and it's more likely to happen as you get older. So the most common ages for people to get motor neurone disease are in their 60s, 70s and 80s, but we do see people who are young with it as well.
Question is, do you know what MND is?
No.
Do you know what MND is?
I don't know.
Do you know what MND is? No.
No idea.
Okay. In the following list, A, B or C or D, which one do you think is the correct answer?
A.
A. Okay.
It'd be pure guess.
Yeah, it's alright.
I'd be guessing at C.
I think it's the disease that damages the brain. No, actually, I think it's C.
Do you know what MND is?
Yeah, motor neurone disease.
From the following list, A, B or C?
A.
You think it's A?
Yeah.
All right. The correct answer is actually C.
Right, okay.
It's C. The correct answer is actually C.
Really?
Yeah. It's short for motor neurone disease. Have you got any knowledge of that?
A little bit.
A little bit. You remember in 2014 there was a LAS Ice Bucket Challenge?
Yeah.
Everyone did. Right, that's what it is. It's, LS is actually an American version, MND is actually the British version. And what happens is it's you lose like nerves in your muscles and everything. So and like a lot of times you lose and you can't walk at all. And like lifespan's like 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 years. Also, do you think there's enough awareness out there about motor neurone disease?
Well, I would say not, because I didn't know abbreviations, so I would probably say not, no.
In your own opinion, how would you give awareness to the public about it if it's not enough out there?
Pains me to say it, but social media seems to be the best way to get things across these days, doesn't it? But other than that, I wouldn't really know, to be quite honest.
Affect less people than such as cancer. Everybody at some point in their life is affected by someone they know or love who has cancer. With motor neurone disease, when it comes, it's indiscriminate and the impact's horrific.
How would you give awareness to the public?
One of the best ways, I don't know if you've seen the programme The A Word on autism, I think maybe something where the hero had something like that, a bit like Stephen Hawking's and the film, and I think that did raise awareness.
There's something that needs to get out there a bit more, you know what I mean? So,
yeah. How would you give awareness anyway?
Yeah, it is a hard one, that one. I think I'd televise it a bit more and show it a lot more like to do with the cancer and stuff, but maybe make like a couple of documentary sort of things, do you know what I mean? Like, just get in the public eye a bit more, do you know what I mean? Maybe a bit more charity events talking about and stuff like that, do you know what I mean? Sort of general stuff, do you know what I mean? Just a bit more of it, you know what I mean? Like the cancer, just a bit more of it, like the fun runs and stuff like that, just more of it, so.
As much as maybe they should, unless it's indirectly relates to a family member or somebody that they know.
In your own opinion, how would you give awareness to the public?
I suppose it's like anything, unless you're interested in watching a documentary. I suppose it depends what age group you are. Like for me personally, yeah, I would watch something like that. But for maybe, you know, an age group of 20 to 30-year-olds probably wouldn't even relate to it. So maybe more awareness in the sense of leaflets and being more advertised, maybe more documentaries, seeing how it actually does affect people.
It's very cold. Right, otherwise, she was outside having a cigarette.
Well, it's hot, and I've been up 24 hours.
You haven't been up 25, you've been asleep. Hey Shaun, at 7 o'clock in the morning, get a shower and jump in the pool. Are you getting out? No. What are you doing then? Because I should get Dad in the pool.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dolphin Cove. My name is Jennifer. I'm up here on the beach, and I'm joined by Janelle. She's on your side of the wall, right behind her hands. We both.
This is Amy's Tinkerbell balloon that Stuart has popped. Stuart, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Take this out for me because it's definitely that one.
Isn't it, dear? We poor towel short.
A bit more at the back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We thought it was to do with just joints,
but it wasn't. It was MND, and his MND can be affected by other things, or over exertion can do it, over exercising, and genetical, but they just don't know what actually causes it, and that's why all this research is going on. To start off in 2012, he slowly progressed to what I am now. Well, I miss going outside and just pottering around in the garden, or going walking, or walking in the shops, going swimming. I miss those activities. I used to enjoy horse riding. I can't do that now. So there's loads of things with this condition you can't do with what you used to do. And you miss those as well as the simple things, like I say, just washing your hair. It's so simple to everybody.
For you.
But me, I can't do it. I ain't got the strength. Never get down. Why get down? What's that going to do? Make the condition worse? No, it doesn't. It makes your lifestyle worse, and it affects people around you. So you got to keep on with a smiley face and enjoy what you got. Simple as that. If you get down, it just makes it go quicker.
But the next couple of days we're hopefully going out, so we still can do. And that's a great thing about it. What my dad is like, he still want to do stuff in his life. He never gives up. So I'll see you later. Bye.
Well, today we just provide a social venue for people in the Doncaster area that have MND.
I was diagnosed in July 2015 and my symptoms started in December 2014.
Can you explain about the symptoms?
My symptoms, they started in my left hand. I was finding that when preparing food and other things, it was just getting weaker, and I was finding it tricky to use a knife. I did know that it was motor neurone disease. I waited a few months before going to see a doctor, and then was referred straight to the Hampshire. Now symptoms are gradually starting, and I'm finding that my left leg is beginning to waste away, and just recently it started in my right hand as well.
How many people come, people get to know people with MND. Some people will come for one visit and then they don't want to come back again because they may see somebody that's further advanced with their illness than what they are, and I think that sometimes they may be a little bit frightened of the future.
But this is a support, it's a support group really, isn't it, for people? I mean, they do have nurses, not nurses.
Yeah, sometimes some of the nurses come along to this meeting as well, but we never know who's going to turn up.
It's for them to get together really, and like a cake and a cup of tea and things like that, and so it gets them all together and it gets them all talking, and we find out how they're going on. Well, my wife had MND, so I've known about it since 2007, and so obviously I've been part of the association from there, but obviously I couldn't take an active role then because I was caring for my wife.
Well, funnily enough, in a way, it was an unusual diagnosis. He was quite a while getting diagnosed. He wasn't quite a few months diagnosed. He died within 9 months of being diagnosed, but that was partially because of his method of presenting, because he presented with breathing early on and his back muscles. Most people, well, some people present with talking and swallowing and that sort of thing. Some people trip up, some people can't use their arms, but it was his back and breathing that were first, so he actually died quite quickly.
Personally for me, it's been a big part of my life because I've had to give up work and I know what's going to happen. I know the prognosis because of other family members and what's happened. But for you, it's...
Yeah, similar sort of thing. We know sort of what to expect because we've seen it before. And obviously, the less that Melanie can do, the more I've had to perform. So there's extra pressure upon the whole family, really, including the children.
No, people don't know.
No, definitely. This is why we're very conscious of always trying to give a profile to MND and, you know, to let other people know about what's happening.
What is Citroen?
So over 5 years ago now, Professor Shaun, who set up the Sheffield Motor Neurone Disease Research and Care Clinic, was asked, what would you do if you had lots of money to find a treatment for MND? And she said, well, I'd like to get everyone together who's a real expert in this condition and bring them all together in a building and work together to find the cure. And so that's what she did, and she raised a lot of money through very generous donations from patients and families who'd been affected by the disease and kind donors, and built this fantastic building and attracted people from all around the world to come together to work. And we're not just basic scientists, there's computer scientists, there's people working with animals, with cells, but also right up to working with patients in the clinic. So we can go and take a blood test from a patient in our clinic and bring it straight back here and give it to one of our researchers who can immediately start working on it to understand more about MND.
Explain what you do here in these labs at Citroen.
Okay, so this is a genetics lab, so we store all of the DNA samples that are donated by patients, relatives, friends of patients, relatives, etc. So all of them come, they're stored here. We keep them in a separate lab because it's important not to contaminate them. Obviously we're all carrying DNA around with us all the time. You want to make sure that we don't contaminate them. And then a lot of these machines are sort of used for amplifying up DNA, regions of DNA, so we can study bits and bobs in more detail. You've got sort of in the corner there's a UV tank that allows us to sort of, you know, work under UV light to destroy any contaminants, and that allows us to be very precise with genetic material. The lab's more broadly, so we've got, so this, as I said, is DNA focused. There's a lab next door which is RNA focused. So RNA is like it's a bit like DNA, but it's kind of a mobile form of RNA. If you think of DNA as like a sort of a storehouse, RNA is the bit that goes out in the lorries and moves around the cell. And then we've got two big protein labs on the end, which sort of they're the kind of the hard working work-a-day labs where we do a lot of our protein work, look at protein function. How do proteins work in MND and how do they not work in MND? Do you see what I mean? So sort of looking at the machinery of the cell.
What other stuff do you do in the labs instead of that? Is it all just science, or is it just more? Have you got any like technology or everything?
Yeah, so we have so down the end we've got a lab sort of based on gene expression profiling. So what does that mean? We've got what we do is we measure expression of every single gene all at once in the cell. So you get a reading of sort of, you know, millions of different numbers giving you the levels of millions of different bits of genetic material, but you can get that off one sample in one go. So that's very powerful. I said before about hypothesis generation. That's a hypothesis generation tool. You know, out of the millions of readings, which ones are different, you know, and then you can start to explore those and validate them. So there are viral labs over there, so we use those for sort of designing viral vectors, which are potential treatments. So viruses are very good at sort of getting into a human cell and incorporating their DNA into the human DNA. So if we can piggyback that, to take a treatment, a genetic treatment, we can put that into the virus and use the virus to deliver it into the human. So that's something being used quite effectively, and is going into clinical trial in the next few weeks. So other things, we've got big microscopy facilities, we've got sort of confocal microscopes. So confocal is a special kind of microscope. So if you're looking at a cell, you look at a cell through a microscope from above, it's very difficult to say which part of the cell is broken, whereas the confocal microscope allows you to look very precisely at different levels through the cell without interference from light at other parts of the cell. So, you know, when you're sort of saying, does molecule A interact with molecule B, you can answer that question, whereas a standard microscope, you can't necessarily tell if they're just close to each other or actually interacting.
So now you guys know what MND is and how it affects people's lives. Every day it is affecting new people and there's not enough public awareness out there. So thank you for watching this short documentary and please start supporting this cause.